We use AI in two main ways. One is with marketing. Of course, it does help us look at our ads, what we're trying to do, our social media posts. We post every Monday on LinkedIn. It's called Be a Shark Monday. And everything on there is created with AI. All the graphics and everything are all created with AI.
Like
I don't think,
ChatGPT, or do you use a different system?
I don't know, Elise, in case you do it.
Perfect answer.
Yeah, they just like, yeah, we do it. And I'm like, okay, great, thanks. And they're like, hey, did you notice the Easter eggs were hopping in there? I'm like, no, they're dropping stuff in there. And now they're starting to now they go, we've been doing it for like 6 months. And you haven't been paying any attention.
The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where today's top entrepreneurs share how they're scaling smarter, evolving faster, and navigating the future of business with or without AI. I'm your host, Elise Smith, your business AI strategist, and I'm here with an incredible gentleman that you guys are going to just love today. His name is Michael Rager, and here's a little bit about him. Since earning his master's in aquatic biology from Central Michigan University in 1988, he worked across the U.S. as an environmental consultant on major natural gas pipeline, collaborating with executives, federal agencies, and staff from companies like Exxon, Shell, Chevron, and AECOM. In 2009, he shifted to business and executive coaching, including roles with Action Coach and as a founding partner of the John Maxwell team. In 2014, he launched Teach Your Business to Fish, blending his love of fishing with helping leaders grow their business. He later founded Whiteboards and Whiskey, now a franchise with events in Texas, Florida, and Australia, and uses tab-focused software with AI to help business owners create 3-year plans and track KPIs for success. So welcome, Michael. We're so excited to have you.
Hi, Elise. How are you today?
I am wonderful. How about you?
Doing good. It's hot here in Texas today.
I love your bio, especially your background, but tell us in your own words who you serve and how you serve them.
Uh, we primarily work with $1 to $20 million business owners. Most of the time, they become the bottleneck in the business. The bottleneck they create is something that they have problems getting past. Maybe hiring their first couple of employees, understanding how to go get capital, how to actually have a strategy to move forward. It was last night I met a gentleman. He was 63 years old, and he said, "I wish I'd have met you 2 years ago. I ran my auto shop for 18 years. Got to the end, I didn't know what to do, so I just closed the doors." And he could have packaged it up and probably sold it. That's one of the things we see a lot. We see great businesses run by great business owners, but they just don't understand business enough to understand what a real end game is. And that's what we try to help them do.
Absolutely. I love that. And so talk to us about how you got started with Teach Your Business to Fish and Whiteboards and Whiskey.
Well, I worked in the oil and gas industry for about 20 years. I was one of the first 5 environmental inspectors ever put on projects. It was at the time natural gas pipeline production from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. So we would go out there and we'd say, no, you can't do this, can't do this. You have the guys that were building projects for 20 years. And, environmental sensitivity was coming in the 80s. We were looking at how we were doing things. So I did that, but it was long years. We were working 80 hours a week, 8 to 10 months a year. It just beat on you. And I did it for a long time. And then I got married first time. That didn't last too long. Got married again, had a son. And my wife at the time was like, hey, you can't be gallivanting all over the country. You need to kind of come home and work. So I came back. I was looking to build a company. I hired a coach. It was actually a guy at Action Coach. I was working in corporate at the time. I was at AECOM. I was overseeing their linear projects division. And I just wanted out. I had enough of corporate. I had enough of making the rich richer. And my wife wasn't going to let me go on the project that I wanted to. I know we talked the other day. It was to open up a dive shop in Belize with a friend of hers, and she really didn't trust him and stuff like that. Wish she would have, because it turned out to be really successful. But I just had to do something different. And the guy that owned the Action Coach franchise said, hey, why don't you come on over to work with me? I like the way you think. You've already been part of a team that built and sold a company, so you get it. And I did. I worked with him for a couple of years. We were kind of like oil and water. So we just kind of went our own ways. And I was sitting down at a conference in Orlando with the John Maxwell team. And one of my friends just said, "You're just not living your passion. So bring it in." And I had kind of created Teach Your Business to Fish when I was an action coach. The guy I was with said, "This isn't going to work." He wasn't running things the way I wanted to run it. So I just took my friend's advice and just started it and just ran. That's where we are. We're still there. We still do it. And we just melded in with the whiteboards and whiskey now.
I love that. Yeah. And if you go to your website, which is teachyourbusinesstofish.com, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can go
Yeah.
there or michaelrager.com. Both of them take you around, give you a little bit of that. It talks a little bit about what we do. I just like to use fishing analogy on how to win at business. And I love to offshore fish. I've fished a few tournaments and stuff like that. And so I just take my experience from doing that and having business owners look at their business from a captain trying to win a tournament. That's the same thing as a CEO trying to win the year. You've got to do the same things.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking earlier. I just love the fact that you really own who you are and the passion you have, and you
Mm.
build it so seamlessly into your business, and it helps you to really stand out in the market. Really, really smart. So, talk to us about whiteboards and whiskey.
Whiteboards and whiskey came around through the pandemic. As you know, as a coach on our LinkedIn, we get spammed about 100 times a day from somebody who's trying to tell us they're going to 10x our business. Better. I was just kind of struck. I wasn't growing as fast as I wanted to. And I hired this guy who I will not name. He just wasn't a good person. And it was one of those that I think he and his team had never done what they'd done, but they came across as they were really good. And we got there and they didn't. And I was getting really mad that we were working with them like 10 weeks. Things were moving forward. And I was in a group session. One of the guys in Germany, I had a whiskey, my whiteboard, and he said, "Man, you just like whiskey and whiteboards. Why don't you do that?" And I'm like, I fired the other guy, moved away, and just sat there and went, boom, whiteboards and whiskey was started. And that's where it went. I met my partner, Chris Beard, in 2022 over in Cancun. I was speaking at a conference for a coaching company called Focus. And we sat down and we were talking about, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. He actually runs Teach Your Business to Fish Australia now. And we collaborated on whiteboards and whiskey. And we noticed that there's a lot of great coaches and consultants. Like I said, we get spammed all the time about how do we grow our business. And they're not very good at growing their business. They're great at coaching. They're great at consulting, but going out there is that. And so when I was with Focus, they used to just really push lunch and learns. And I'm like, I can't get $5 million business owners to come to a lunch and learn. So I said, well, I started going around and asking, I said, will you come to a whiskey tasting? And so what we did is we blended the whiskey tasting with the whiteboarding session. Chris, my partner, developed a program called the Accountable Boardroom. So we modified what we do in the boardroom to the whiskey and whiteboard session. And here it is. I'm doing it here. Chris is doing it over in Australia. We were running Florida. That was our beta test. We're not doing anything there, but we're out running Kansas City right now. Actually, about 3 hours, I got to talk with the guy in Los Angeles. I talked tomorrow with the gentleman in Nashville, and we're talking to people in London and Aberdeen, Scotland. So right now I'm out taking it. So it's really going well right now.
Wow, that is so neat. So, who is that for? Like, who are you attracting to whiteboards and whiskey?
It's just the coaches, the clients that I said. It's that struggling business owner. When we advertise, it's, hey, are you struggling right now in the business? Do you have a bottleneck you just can't seem to get past? Is there something that's just keeping you running the same year over and over and not going where you want? Why don't you come with us, have a whiskey, we'll whiteboard it out and see if we can help you solve that problem. And that's just top of funnel for us. So when we built it, we built the whole sales process. For us, that's a $50 to $100 ticket to get to that. So for us, that weans out people who really aren't serious. And then from there, we move them into a one-on-one session. We have a 3-year planning session that we do for $2,000. From there, we move them, hey, do you want to go implement this on your own? Fine, go do it. If you don't, come on into the accountable boardroom with us. We'll move that along. I'm doing what we call a cast and blast here in Texas. So at the end of October, I've got myself and 7 business owners are going down to a place called Baffin Bay. And we're going to go sea trout fishing in the morning, come back, do some training sessions, and go dove hunting in the afternoon. We got a 5-star chef coming in to cook for us. And then we'll do a fireside cigar and bourbon event at night. So it's a 3-day event. It's just getting the business owners out.
Wow, I'm sure that there are listeners who are like, sign me up for that. That sounds so good. Is that on your website as well?
Yeah, it is. We just sold the last ticket this morning, we're creating some more stuff. So if you like us, follow us, reach out, say, hey, love you, put you into our world here.
So you franchised this concept.
Yep.
What were some of the steps that you took to really be able to scale your business?
It took us a long time. We were talking to some mentors, both Tor Bryan, he owns Focus.com, and he's calling the licensing model. And we really looked at it and I saw some pros and cons to it. And one of the things that Chris and I wanted to keep was we wanted the brand to stay really strong and we wanted the brand to be unique and we wanted the brand to be something that was accessible, but not to everybody. And so when we came up with the franchise model, I looked at a friend of mine's franchise where they went to NFL cities. The NFL goes to the city because there's enough commerce to do with it. So here in Houston, the three biggies really are for us are oil and gas, of course, medical. The medical center here is huge, and then manufacturing. Over in Kansas City, it's got its own thing. I'm from Detroit originally. Of course, we got the automotive industry. We've got new tech. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So every NFL city has its own little niche going on of kind of what business supports the NFL there. And we feel if we go ahead and we can find coaches and consultants in those areas that can help businesses to help that larger niche get better, that would be a win for us. There's other organizations. I belong to one. I don't want to give my old competitors props. When I was here, they brought me in and they got me to the point where their mastermind runs similar to our accountable boardroom, but I didn't get paid till I had 8 members in there. I had 6 for 7 months. They're making $14,000 a month and I'm not eating. I'm driving Uber at night just so I can eat. So I said, I don't want that to happen because when I was hey, why don't you guys help me fill these last 2 spots? They were just bringing in more people and they were just bringing in more competition. And so what we said is we'll have no more than 3 at any one city. That's it. So we're going to bring in exclusivity because in that organization, the year and a half that I was a part of it, it was very competitive. It wasn't collaborative at all. There was like 19 people doing this in Houston and 2 ladies were nice enough to talk to me. The other guys were just like, F you, I'm not sharing how I did this. And that's not what we want. We want collaboration and that's what we want to bring in. And the other organizations, they're huge. They're global. They're big. They are a great organization, but there was just some things I just didn't really like about it. And we really want people to succeed because if they succeed, I succeed and Chris succeeds and our kids succeed. That's what we want. We just spent a lot of time on putting the whole thing together. And after we really sat down with everybody, we just thought that the franchise model was going to be the way to go because it protected everybody. If we failed, our franchises were protected. If my franchisees failed, I'm protected. They can't steal my stuff. Probably about the first 8 months, we started running and posting whiteboards and whiskey events onto Eventbrite. We found somebody in North Carolina. It was a lady coach putting up whiteboards and wine. We trademarked, we did everything. We own all the whiteboards and wine IP. We own all the addresses and everything. We just haven't started promoting it. We were smart enough to do that, but we went to her and said, hey, you can't do this. This is us. She goes, well, I've never seen you before. Her stuff was verbatim, word for word. We had our IP attorney send her over a cease and desist letter, and we sent a cease and desist letter to Eventbrite. And we said, if you continue to promote this person, we're going to sue you. But we tried to go about it nice at first because we were very early and said, hey, thanks so much for comping what we did. Imitation's the sincerest form of flattery, and wanted to have nothing of it. And we were like, fine. And said, if that's what you're going to do, you're going to do it. I even had one of my attendees to an event. He does some coaching and consulting, and he specializes in small startup restaurants. And he started running something called Blackboards and Bourbon that, of course, had the exact same verbiage of everything we did. And we had to send him a cease and desist letter. And we offered to bring him in and said, hey, you can come in. We'll charge you this much to run it. You can run it under Whiteboards and Whiskey. We'll allow you to do it. Nope. But hey, that's okay. We really only want people that want to play. If everybody thinks that they've got to have all the pie, they don't belong here. So
Yeah, completely agree. Wow, I love the challenges and the trials and things like that that you've been able to go through to create what you have and hold on to what you. Am I understanding that whiteboards and whiskey might be more of a man thing, right?
it's really
No.
funny. I would say at least 50% of our attendees are women and 20% of them don't drink.
Wow. I know, because I don't drink. So I was like, that sounds fun for other people, but do you have Sprite or something like that? So awesome. So the whiteboards and wine, is that just different demographic or where?
Yeah, a little bit different demographic. When we were in Kansas City last week, David Levette, oh my God, that's helping me open up Kansas City, brought a friend of his, Kim, and we started talking and she goes, yeah, it'd be great if you had whiteboards and wine. And I looked at her and do. You know, it's hard to grow one brand, let alone two. I said, but if you're really interested into it, you know, we own our own go high level agency and stuff like that. So Chris is fairly advanced at doing that. I've got some team members that do that. We could create it in about 3 days and be ready. You know, it's just changing some colors. Now we can create a new logo in AI and like that. And it would take just nothing to do it. We got multiple levels in Whiteboards and Whiskey. We created our own networking group called the Whiskey and Wisdom Collective because I really don't like those 3-letter networking group. I think you know the ones I'm talking about. I don't believe working is getting up and giving a 60-second elevator pitch and you expect me to sell me. We believe that it's sitting down. Our big event is something called Cigars and Old Fashions. And last Friday, it was 97 degrees out. We had 38 people sitting outside on a patio, and you're saying men, women, and it's come on in, just have some discussions. The restaurant we deal with a friend of mine, Matt Bryce. We get $5 old fashions. And so we got $5 old fashions. We smoke cigars. Everybody eats lunch.
Love
Yeah. It's a win-win for everybody. And we've been doing it for probably since 2022. Unofficially, me and Cody said that we were like, we think there's been about between 4 and 6 million in deals passed.
That's amazing. Just connecting with people, right? That's what it's all about. Even if you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, you should still get out there and connect with. I mean, that's how you were able to grow your franchise, right? All
Yeah.
those
That's exactly it. And people look at us and they go, well, I can't get away on a Friday at 2 o'clock. And I said, well, that's probably why you should hire me because if you can't get away on Friday at 2 o'clock once a month, you don't really own a company. You own a job and it's probably really stressful and your wife's stressed or your husband's stressed, your kids are stressed, your dog's stressed, your cat's stressed. You know, that's what it's about is that's what we want to fit. We start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and end at 5.
Yeah. And AI helps with that too. So let's go into that because you are using AI in a really unique way in your business. So tell us more about that.
So ChatGPT and we've really created a couple powerful scripting tools to do it. And I've learned to use my phone to use some apps to make it a little bit easier. But that's where we really use it in marketing. But the way that I think you really wanted us to talk about is the other way. In the accountable boardroom, we have a software called Tab Focus. And we teamed up with a company out of California. And we've taken their product, we've white labeled it, and then we've added our twist to it through the AI. And when we create this 3-year game plan for a business, what we do is we sit down in person. We have a 3 to 4 hour discussion. We have this 60-page document. We're really going in. We want to know what they know about their business. And we go in and we start with our AI associate, Ada, and she starts asking questions about the business and we start entering it. And we're just going basic at the point. And then based on the industry that the business is in, Ada will put together a series of key performance indicators that the business should start to look at following. And we got these 7 business drivers. You can use the 7 areas of business we need to look at, and the 6 KPIs go across those drivers. And Ada completes it. Then what we do is we take the answers that we got from live and we go back to Ada and say, all right, on this first one, you said this, here's where the business owner is thinking, how should we change it? She'll give us an answer and say, give us 3 things we should do in the business to do that. And she'll start giving us tasks. And so now what we can do, there's 4 levels in business. There's ownership, leadership, management, and then executors. And then what it does is we make sure all the KPIs and tasks are all pointing up to increase the value of the company based on hitting things like an EOS system, for example. A lot of your business owners have probably heard of them. They all focus on operations, but operations doesn't necessarily increase valuation. And if you remember what I said earlier is I want these people that run these businesses to exit someday and make money, focus on the value of the business. How do I make it more valuable when I'm ready to exit? Somebody can come and purchase it. So everything we do through there helps us. We can go into and say, all right, we've got this. This is what we created. Now give us a process to do it. She'll create the process for us. And it's an internal AI, so it's not going out. So the more we teach it about the business, the more it learns how the business functions. And she will give us better answers to get the business moving forward.
I love that. Isn't that so cool what we can do with AI compared to a few years ago? I mean, I started out as a business strategist and even like a corporate coach, and we did everything like I swear pen to paper. And it was good because we learned through that process. But man, with the capabilities that we have with AI, it can just see things from different perspectives than
Yeah.
what we see, right?
Yeah, it does, but Ada doesn't take in emotion, and Ada doesn't take in my kid's sick. It doesn't take in all this thing. It's just there. So as the coach, what we do is when our business owners come into an accountable boardroom with us, we can throw their dashboard up. And what it does is it'll show us between 0 and 100% how much of that KPI has been completed because people are really bad. They don't understand KPIs. KPIs shouldn't last forever. They solve a problem. And then you move on, then you solve another one. And then you move on to solve another one. We had a client, they thought their business was worth $100 million and they came in at 65. So what was the KPI for the next 2 years? Let's get this sucker back to 100. And it was because of one of our core KPIs that we looked at was client concentration. They were getting more than 35% of their revenue from one client and it put them at risk. And we were able to see that. And so what we did is we focused on how do we keep current revenue, then increase it, but lowering the amount that that one client put into that total revenue. Expanding. And so we just helped them bring on new companies, new companies, new companies in the other industries. And it took us 2.5 years. And I think they exited for like 98 million. And so they came close. But without seeing that and without going in and looking at it, you can't do it. I got a guy right now. His whole thing is he owns a $13 million HVAC and plumbing company. He's like, Michael, I just want to take every Friday off. I want 3-day weekends every weekend. I'm going to spend it with my sons. Next year, I'm going to take a week off every month, but we're building things through the system where his ultimate goal is to sell the company for 30 million in 3 years. And so we're going there and looking for it. We can't do it all through marketing. It's not going to happen. We have to look at some strategic acquisitions and things like that. But we use a lot of AI. I learned more of some of their AI. They use a scheduling AI that we actually go in and we rate their plumbers and their HVAC guys on the skills that they have. It'll automatically set up the initial first meeting of the day. And as new meetings come based on the skills, especially some of the skills they're selling and upselling and cross-selling, the AI will move them around the city of Houston on where to go and increase value. It lets us know where we need to train the guys on. Yeah, it's really cool. But we really had to sit down. What do we want it to do? Why do we want it to do it? How is it going to help us accomplish this? And then we went back to the scheduling company and said, we need to be able to integrate this information so we can get better. And we were able to.
Wow. It's not like you're selling this software by itself to other people. You pair it with HVAC, you pair it with human intelligence. And that's really where we're at with AI right now. AI can do amazing things, but if there's not a human element attached to it, one, you lose that personality, that ability to make up for sick days or that emotional connection that you and two, you lose out on the different perspectives that can come from a human. And I think that it's really, really genius of how you've gotten that set up, that it's an aid to your coaching business. It's not your full coaching business.
No, you use the one word that I use a lot is perspective. I had a coach of mine years ago, a guy named Scott Fay, who was part of the John Maxwell team. And his perspective is so big. Scott owned one of the largest landscaping companies in South Florida. I mean, this guy's ran a big crew, I think he had 150 people working for him. And he says, one of the biggest issues we have right now is so many people are not willing to understand other people's perspectives. And that's why we have so much political strife right now. This is why we've got so much going on. We get so tied into what we believe. And that could be a problem with AI. If you just keep feeding what you believe, oh, that's what you're going to get. It's not going to see any perspective. And I think one of the greatest things when I see that in a company, I use it is a very simple thing that Scott taught me is go into a company, set them in a round table and set a beach ball in the middle of it and say, what color is it? And all that matters is what side of the table you're sitting on because it's going to be a different color and nobody's wrong. And it's just getting there and being able to take those things and get people to look at them and understand why they see what they see and where they're going, what they're going. And if you can't do that, it happens in that small business because so many, I mentioned early, why do I coach? The bottlenecks usually come from lack of perspective. And it's like, okay, you're not looking at this from the other person's point of view. You're so tied. I got a client right now and it's a family client and fight like crazy and nobody wants to see each other's perspective. I want this. If this team ever came to the point that they were company focused, not individual focused, they could go dominate. Can't right now. They're just so tight up there. And sometimes it's like beating your head against a wall. You gotta go, hey, here it is. But it's just getting them to look that way and understand the perspective.
Yeah. And I will say, so my business partner, Allie and I, we are very different. She is the visionary, I'm the strategist, and we have a hard time sometimes seeing each other's perspectives. We're trying, but we have a trained chat GPT model that we use to mediate between the two of us. And it hears my perspective and it hears her perspective, and then it brings the two together and it gives us a completely different perspective. And I feel like we could accomplish anything by just being able to see the other person's perspective. And AI can help with that too. So you're really neat.
Mike, you just gave me a good idea what to do with that company. Chris and I were the same way. I'm visionary. I'm looking at how do I get global domination with whiteboards and whiskey. I know the companies that I was in MLM early in my career. We used to pick my team we wanted to take down. I know who I want to take down and I know where I'm at. And I'm the guy that'll come up with 10 to 15 ideas a day. And Chris has to get, hey,
We can only implement so many at one time, right?
the majority so many of us, dude. This is all we can do. So we look at that, we tag it that way. And it is. And the thing that I've seen since I've really started working with AI more, the only thing I'm really good at is chat. It really is. That's all I do fairly well. I really haven't played with most of the other stuff. I know I need to, but I have gotten so much better at certain things because of it. My social media's game's gone way up. I was listening to Gary Vee the other day and he told me I got to start posting 7 times a day. And I'm like, gee, many Christmas, dude, where am I supposed to get the time for that? And he goes, really? I want you to post 20. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. That sounds good. How am I going to make that happen? I don't know. Now is how do I sit back? How do I got to learn to use the AI. That's the only way. And that's the thing that it does is it's going to help me get time back. So how do I start utilizing it now to help me get time back to maybe accomplish some of those goals and getting those things done quickly, easily? And I'm a big procrastinator, so I kind of need.
I love it. That is so awesome. And your Millionaire Momentum AI agency, that's what we do. We build out AI agents that handle your social media for 20 posts a day if we need to. We've done that, but it would be a lot easier if it's automated. So I love having this conversation where you're just open about really helping us to see what's going on behind the scenes in your business and inspiring other people to grow their business the way that you have. So thank you so much, Michael, for being on the show today.
Well, thank you, Elise. I appreciate it.
Of course. So if people want to connect with you, learn more about the things that you've got going on, where do they find you?
If you're a coach or consultant out there and you're interested in maybe looking at a whiteboards of whiskey model, Michael at WBN. So WB for whiteboards, the letter N for N. And then whiskey, WHISKEY.com. If you're interested in what we're doing with the corporate retreats, Michael at teachyourbusinesstofish.com. We've got that. One of our websites that we just created and our YouTube channel is called Build It World Class. You can get we're posting 5 to 7 videos a week on the YouTube channel on Build It World Class. It's got some of our white papers and a lot of stuff that we can do. Go to any of our websites. You'll be able to go in there, my calendar, do what you need to do. Just make it happen. We'd love to have a chance to talk and see what we can do to help. We're looking now to take the accountable boardroom virtually. We're doing them all in person now. We're working with another company. We just got into engagement with them to start doing some virtual events and virtual training. So we'll see how we can make that happen.
I know that you are just going to rock it in that space and just keep going from here because you just have this very genuine quality to you and you can tell how smart you are and you really just want to help people. And so I think that that's a reason why you've got to connect with Michael. And we'll make sure that all of the links that he's talking about are in the show notes as well. So thanks once again, Michael. You've been an incredible guest.
Well, thank you, Elise. I appreciate it. And I wish you and your partner all the luck in the world and anything we can do to help, let us know.
Okay, sounds great. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Mastering AI Momentum, where AI means artificial intelligence and also abundance and impact. Because scaling isn't about doing more, it's about building smarter and staying true to what matters most. We'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, leave us a comment, and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.